Happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to the Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm your host, Monique Wright, and I'm here with the fabulous Vickie Helms. How are you doing, Vickie?
Hi, I'm the other co-host. There's co-host, that's me and Monique. I think this is episode 8, right? Are we on episode 8 of our podcast?
Definitely eight. We're still in the newbie phase, but we're getting it together. So
Mhm.
just welcome. And today we're going to be talking about more of the hidden rules from our book that is coming out on May the 26th of this year. And it's really about the rules that they don't tell you about, the wealth rules that they don't tell you about. And we're going to dive into a few rules today to help you better understand how you can break free and how you can apply these rules to your life. And then on the 26th, you're able to download the ebook. How does that sound, Vickie?
That sounds good to me. It's interesting because I don't think people understand how wealth rules impact their daily living.
Mm-hmm.
How the money is being vacuumed out. And so what's interesting about what we're going through with the hidden rules right now is one, the hidden rules is by design. Hi Nisha, nice to see you on. The hidden rules are by design. And the hidden rules have been playing out and growing and growing and growing, making people feel stuck, controlled, absolutely burdened because the system is no longer working for them. It's working for big companies and other people. So we are untangling that today. And I can't wait to go. We have 3 of them, right? We have 3?
Yes, yes.
Great. Let's go with the first one.
Let's go with 23. Wealth rules number 23, which is again, I'm sorry, in our book, The Hidden Rules. And what we're talking about is the cage that we put ourselves in. A
Yes.
lot of times you have high earners who have great income, who feel like they're doing well in life, who have their retirement ready to go, have their children in private school. They don't even know that they put themselves intentionally or not intentionally into a cage that can keep them from growing and building. Their one income, their one resource of building wealth is just one job layoff away. And what we're looking at right now, Vickie, with the strait being
Hmm.
closed,
Yeah,
how that can
absolutely.
affect so many layoffs in so many different areas, especially food industry, right? So what do you think about that?
Well, what I want to talk about that I think is really important is the cage. Most people don't even know they're in a cage. The
Right.
cage is built by allowing yourself to be involved in a system that has been around and marketing for a long time, and that's market wealth. And so what happens is we learn we learn a different system than what other people are taught, big corporations, etc. What we learn in that system is that you are supposed to go to college and get a good education so you can get a good job. So when that money starts coming in, what they tell you to focus on is get a good credit score so you can get a good loan and get a good house so that you are a homeowner. And what happened is they don't tell you what wealth is. They just give you the path
Mm-hmm.
to this system that has been designed. So you now have a 401k at work, then you have an IRA. And then from the IRA, you may have other investments, whatever the investments are. But what happens slowly is that everything that you earn goes into somebody else's command.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is watching over it. And so what happens is you lose access to control of your money. You lose the ability to control when you want to access it, what you want to do with it, where you want to move it. And so what happens is you've built a cage around you that says, I have to ask permission
Mm-hmm.
to do anything, go access my money. And if you do, Then they say, yes, you can access your money. However, there's going to be dues, taxes, and
Yeah.
penalties. And these penalties that you have start eating away at what your money was. And the real point about being in the cage is you don't actually own anything. So, what you have is a claim to something. It's a claim. What you do is you give your money to somebody,
Hmm.
they invest it and watch over it for you. And all you have is a claim. If it goes belly up, if it loses, you lose money. You don't have any kind of stopgap or anything that says that because you are in the cage. It says, may I ask permission to access my money?
And a lot of people give their wealth or their management of wealth away. My financial advisor is going to handle that. I'm
Yeah.
not going to worry about it. They're going to do it. You don't even know what the condition of your money is. You're afraid to ask questions. And the cage isn't the physical one with the bars. It's the one inside. It's the one that says, I'm going to release everything to somebody else, that puts you in a box that you really can't control anything and you can't own anything, because it's good to have a good salary. It's good to
Mhm.
make good money. But at the expense of what, that can't be your sole form of income. You need dual income at minimum, right? And so just, we're thinking we're living a polished life. We're thinking we're living the life. But at the same time, what kind of life is that we're living if we're giving all of our power away?
And that's the whole point, isn't it? We're taught the basis of wealth generation in the world is based around giving control of your money and your power away to someone else as a form of convenience. They're going to handle it. So here's the difference: the advisor that you are hiring is nothing but a middleman between the company you're with that runs the entire fund. Then
Yes.
there's the guy who sells it, and then there's you. And so he makes money off of you letting him manage money. He's never made money like you've made money earning it. He makes money off being the intermediary between this guy and you.
And what I love about high earners, we like to brag. Oh, they really made my money double. My retirement account is growing. I'm able to retire by the time I'm 50. All this bragging on somebody else managing your finances that you don't control. And with one downturn in the market, a good downturn, all that's wiped away. All that's
It's true.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't understand necessarily how to manage money. It's not something that's taught to us. And that's what we do in Wealth Rules. We teach people how to build real, actual wealth that they control, that is in their purview so that they can watch it. And the difference is you can buy convenience or learn stewardship. Those people who have big wealth and they know how to protect their wealth, they steward the wealth. And if you
Yes.
listen to anybody, like we've talked about this before, but even Grant Cardone says wealthy people do not invest in the market. And Robert Kiyosaki, if you ask him, he'll say, I hate the market. I hate the market. So we have two billionaires that started from scratch and they did exactly the process we're doing. Two billionaires that have said this market stuff is a waste of time, and it's just giving out your money. There are better ways to create wealth, but if you're creating wealth, you have to know how to steward your wealth well. What's the second one we got going?
All right, let's talk about it. Number 9. Well, that was number 9. I'm sorry. That was the cage that we're in. And number 23. Number 23 is one of my favorites only because I'm coming out of it, right? Mentally, you have to really change your mindset when you're talking about hidden rules. Whenever you're talking about wealth rules and you are leaving the performance of wealth, whenever you're leaving, that one income or even two incomes and you're just trying to build wealth, you're really going to have to take a look at your lifestyle and who you are and why you're performing wealth in the way that you're performing it. But rule number 23 is if you rush someone, you can sell them almost anything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss a good deal, Vickie. I don't want to be the person that, like, I want to be in on it quick. You know, crypto, I'm moving quick. I like to be the one who is on the front end and not the back end. So if you position it right, scarcity, fear, no one else is doing this just yet. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
They got me.
Yeah. They always make you feel like you're ahead of the game somehow in that particular way. But I want you to read 23 slowly again, because number 9 is about the cage that we build. And
Yes.
you have to be part of the system to do that. And now 23 is about how you're manipulated. And I
Yes.
want you to read that again for us slowly.
Wealth rule number 23. If you rush someone, you can sell them almost anything.
And that's the whole point. So let me tell you how they rush you. One is, have you ever closed on a house and the paperwork is this thick and all you sign, 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 sign. But I'd rather take the contract and sit down and read it for a couple of days and say, all right, I'm ready to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that. They kind of want to close the deal right there. Okay, next one, webinars. Webinars are where they're going to teach you something valuable, like how to buy investment real estate. And so they get you all into, this is how you make money. This is how much money I've made. Look at this. This is how. And at the end, they start the closing thing where they close you in that rush. For the next 24 hours, you'll get 50% off if you take action right now. And action takers are people who make up their minds right now. You make up your mind
Yes.
right now. You're an action taker. You're going places. And because of that, they suddenly have you so whipped up into a frenzy. You're like, where do I sign?
Mm-hmm.
And any kind of sale that has FOMO or is bro marketing or is anything else, people are starting to get wise by it, but there's pressure for you to act now.
Mm-hmm.
You take that thing now. And I want to be careful because sometimes acting now is beneficial, but you have to have discernment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in that discernment, if you say, this is something I need to act on right now, like in the beginning, over a decade ago, when cryptos were new and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
you could feel what's the possibility of the internet having its own currency? What's the possibility of, and the second I saw a big company bite for it. So for instance, I bought Ethereum when it was $9 simply because Microsoft bought into it. And I was like, Microsoft knows something I don't. Now's the time to buy.
Right.
That's kind of a bit of a discernment. And if you see something on the rails that says, I'm going to be the system that
Mm-hmm.
the world uses now, then it's time to invest. You have to have some discernment. But if it's just somebody pitching you, look, this is so important because these are how private equity deals are done. They make great presentations. They whip everybody up into a frenzy when you have no time to do due diligence on the company or the person running the company.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is you can get stung pretty badly
Yes.
if you don't have that piece of discernment with you. But when you go into the deal, you feel really good. You feel hyped up. Everything's exciting. And bam, then you get stung. So
And,
go ahead, share. Did you have
and
something you
it's
wanted to
never $5 or $10, right? It's
Yeah.
always tens of thousands of dollars. Act now, limited
Yeah.
time offer. This is your moment. You don't want to miss it. Get in now before everybody else gets in. And then when they get in, you're going to make money on top of money because then you can sell it. And it's not because we're unintelligent. We
Yeah.
can do the math. So we're
Yeah.
in the room, and okay, well, if it's 20 of us in here, and the world
Yeah.
realizes that it's a good purchase, like digital assets, then hey, I'm in a great position. I need to act now, but like you said, we don't have time to do our due diligence. It's right there on the spot. And if you say, well, let me take my time, you're
The
missing out.
deal's gone. And you know what's interesting is most people don't even know what due diligence is. They hear the words, but
Mhm.
they don't know what due diligence is. And what's funny about it now is if you have a phone and you have your Claude or chat on your phone, you can do due diligence just like that.
In the meeting, yes.
Let me see what's happening. Let me just check who's doing this because a lot of times what happens is even now the private equity companies buy businesses like that are closing like JC Penney
Mhm.
or Sears or whatever it is or Forever 21 and they strip the entire they find something with a good credit score, good history of payments,
Yes.
good, and they
Mhm.
strip the money out of it. And then they just let it die. They strip the credit score, they get loans out on it, they do everything, and then they don't do any of the backup. And then voila, the business just goes belly up. But they've extracted all of the loans and value out of it before it goes belly up and it's gone
Right.
forever. And that's a lot of how private equity works. Like
Mhm.
private equity, does it have opportunities? Yes. Are all of them opportunities? No. And
No.
if you don't know what due diligence is, it is the looking at the records of the company that owns it, as well as the leadership
Mhm.
inside of it. Has the leadership fleeced another company that we don't know or fleeced another group of people? Those are the things, those decisions that you have to make. And if somebody is rushing you, that should be your first red flag. What do you not want me to see?
Right. Because urgency is not opportunity. They're not the
That's
same
right.
thing at all.
I love that you said that. Urgency is not opportunity. True opportunity takes a bit of due diligence. Like, so here's the things that I look at. I want to see the numbers and I
Mhm.
want to see the last quarter. I want to know how much are they already purchasing? How much are they already in debt? How many partners are on there? Because what's interesting about partnership is if you want to go far, partnership is everything. If you're a solopreneur or you're solo leader, it's tough. You have to have good relationships. But at startup, every time a partner is added to the mix, it slows the company
Yes.
down by about 5x.
Mhm.
So if you have two people, that's pretty easy. It's like yes, no, different opinion, whatever. You can work pretty fast. But if you add a third person, and I have a third opinion or a third permission or a third thing,
Mhm.
I'm slowing down now about 3x. I've slowed it down. If you have a fourth person where they have opinion, everything else that they bring to the company and everything, and they want what they want, we've now slowed down about 4x.
Right.
If there's 5 people at the startup, I'm looking at conflict because
Mhm.
conflict between 2 people is simple. Conflict between 3 or more people, not so simple. And the question is, do I think the team that is there can pull this off? If I don't think they can pull it off, I want to know how many partners are involved, how much of you already, how much of your company do you still own? I want to see all the numbers and I want to look at it and say, is this an A bill, a B bill, or a C bill company?
Exactly.
And if you don't know that, I'm going to give you right now, we're going to talk about one of the hidden rules, business rules that they don't teach you. And I
Mhm.
need you to get a pencil and paper and write this down. So if you're investing in a company, companies go with A bill, B bill, and C bill businesses. Now, it is not their credit score or their, what is it, Dun and Bradstreet number.
Mhm.
That it doesn't have anything to do with that. But here's what a discerning entrepreneur will look at. The A bill, B bill, C bill business has everything to do with the economy and the wave of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
So when the economy is doing well, all businesses do well.
Yeah.
But when the economy starts to fall, a C bill business, hey, nice to see you there, Karen. Um, the economy, when it starts to fall, the C bill businesses are the one businesses that
Yeah.
fail first.
Right.
So it's really what's going to succeed first and what's going to fail first. So the C bill is everything like Starbucks, movie theater, whatever, a restaurant. Those C bill
Mm-hmm.
businesses, they feel the pinch first. Why? Because when they go online, every single person that is telling people how to save money, tell them don't do business at the C bill. Don't get that coffee. Don't go out to those
Right.
restaurants.
Put that first.
That's right. That's how they feel it. And so what happens is, let's just say that you and all of you, let's just say that you go home and you're like, honey, I just got laid off today. I don't know. They told me about 6 months and we're going to be laid off. I have to go find another job. And your spouse is like, no worries. We're going to be okay. We'll just cut back on some things and we're going to, stop eating out at restaurants. We'll get through it. We have savings.
Right.
So now it's 6 months later and you're still unemployed and you're like, I think we're going to have to cut back a little bit more. Well, you've already cut back on the C bill businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing you're going to cut back on is a B bill business. And that B bill business are things that are the second level when you've been literally, you're starting to go from recession to deep recession.
Mm-hmm.
And you start thinking, we better go to the library and use the internet and maybe cut this $80 bill off. And, maybe the cell phones turn into a landline. And you're like, okay, we're on the landline again. We have an emergency cell phone, but we don't have all of these things that we normally have. And so your Costco runs start getting smaller and you're going to the mall and buying stuff online has started to shrink. No, we can't do that right now. We're just going to cut back a little bit more. That is the B bill businesses. And they're the second run of businesses that are going to dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
An A bill business is the last business that will go belly up inside tumultuous economic waves. So nobody's shutting off their electricity. Nobody is not going to the grocery store and saying, well, I'm not going to buy food. And so what happens is when you start looking at the C bill, A bill, B bill businesses, and you look at your current economic
Mm-hmm.
wave, then you can say, okay, what am I investing in? Are you investing in something that's going to be a C bill startup during an economic uncertainty? Are you investing in a B bill that is a better place to start, but still it might
Right.
struggle a little bit? How is it that it's playing out in there so that your investment is smarter? And it is you also saying, am I building a C bill business? How do I make my C bill business an A bill business? And that's the kind of thing they don't tell you. Those are the due diligence that you see. Do you have A bill, B bill, or C bill leaders? Do they service A bill, B bill, or C bill consumers?
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at that, now you're doing due diligence and now you're investing your money in a better way. Do you have something you wanted to share about that as well?
I know I've shared this with you before, Vickie, but there were a few companies during COVID that pivoted.
Yeah.
One of them was a nail salon, the other one was a beauty supply store. Now, they were not considered essential businesses, but they started carrying PPE. They had the Lysol spray, they had the mask, they had the gloves, and everyone was running out. They even had the toilet paper. So while everyone was running out, we had to go to those stores in particular. And because they were actually selling those, it was like, what, while I'm here, let me go ahead and get this hairbrush. Let me go ahead and get this lip gloss. Like while you were in there, you started shopping and spending money because you had this bank account that you weren't using. So as your bank account's growing and you want to spend, you want to
Mhm.
buy, you just couldn't go anywhere really to buy.
Yeah.
So they actually did pivot. But whenever I start looking at companies and especially investments, is what round are you on? I
Yeah.
We need to know how liquidated this is going to be. And if you don't have the money up front, how many people do you need the money from? How many
That's right.
investors do you need? And if we're the first three, how many more do you need on top of that?
Yeah.
And they talk about high risk, high reward. We're talking about the cage that we put ourselves in a way. It's like we raise our hand, sign us up. But if you risk a lot of money, you don't get that money. You can lose that money.
Mhm.
It's like, we could build this out. You could get your money back. This is what you could gain. They don't put the emphasis on the exit strategy and what you get if it does not work out, which is a goose egg.
Yeah.
If you don't get a return on your money, you just gave them your cash for nothing.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Once it's gone, it's gone. Once it's lost, it's lost. And I want to talk about that as well, because once you're in the cage, she's talking about today we're looking at the invisible cages we put ourselves in and what we're taught about wealth, what we're not taught about wealth. And one of the things that we're talking about right now is so important because when you get wealthier, whether it's through a job or whatever else, we start to become arrogant. So I want to talk to those, high 6, 7 figure earners. Right now, you're good at running a business. It does not mean you are good at investing. It means you're good at running a business. But what happens is when you get home, whether you're the woman of the house or the man of the house or the man or woman of the hour, all of a sudden people are like, look, she got this done. She's at, 600,000 or more, a half a million or more a year, or, oh, she's a 7 figure business. And suddenly, when you're in that range where you're a 7 figure business, you think you've made it. There's
Yeah.
not another, thing to, I revel in your success for a moment, but don't let it take over your discernment. When you want to belong, when you want to keep investing, I have made the worst mistakes when I was, oh, I'm all that in a bag of chips. And so
Hmm.
what happens then is you are easy to manipulate.
Yes.
And the person selling you that knows you're easily to manipulate.
Hmm.
And so they can close you quicker than anybody else. And then I have seen, I'm not kidding, I have worked with clients that have lost everything in 3 months
Hmm.
because of poor investment decisions. And then they call me and they want me to do something like, oh, should I give you how get my money back? Well, if you sign the contract, the money's gone. And people are like, I can't believe I screwed up that bad. Well, you know how to make money. You have to learn how to steward money.
Yes.
And this is the antidote to this being able to be sold to very fast. And what happens is when you get to the point where you're learning to steward money, you're going to get pitched a lot.
Oh yeah.
People want your money,
Yes.
full stop. They don't know how to make money, they know how to borrow money because
Hmm.
that is what we're taught. We're
Yes.
not taught how to steward and make money, we're taught how to borrow money. So this pitch fest dude over here is doing the same thing that the average American does.
Hmm.
It's like, hi, I need to get a loan, I need to borrow money, I need to stack the money. And that is the trap.
Yes.
That's part of the cage.
Hmm.
And you don't want to be the sucker to that thing. We have to step out of learning how to borrow and stewarding debt and learn how to steward our wealth in a different way. And I think what you said is, I think it's so important, Monique, because once once we once we hit a certain level of income, we're taught that we should celebrate And we should celebrate by investing and purchasing. And all of these things here are debt related. You're getting
Mhm.
a contract where your money is at risk. And
Yes.
you said, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Well, there's nothing better than learning to steward your wealth. And that's the reward that you can control. So for
Hmm.
me, I'd rather put it in buying a boring business, starting a business that's boring, and
Right.
stewarding that without having to have investors. The number one skill set you can learn for success in wealth is bootstrapping. And
Yes.
I'm like, look at Mark Cuban.
Hmm.
All of the and Reykjavik, what was his? He has Russian immigrant parents. He's also on the
Shark Tank.
show with.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
No, I was saying we're talking about Shark Tank.
Yes.
Hmm.
Um, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know his name because I love him to death right now, and I'm having a brain fart. But one of the most important things that can happen to you is that you learn to steward your wealth. And that means you have to get to the point where bootstrapping your way means everything to you, because what you're learning is the most valuable skill set you can have is not your degree,
Yes.
because there are a bunch of PhD cab drivers everywhere. So
Right.
when we get to that, when you start learning to bootstrap, that is when you succeed. And that can be a path that can roll out. But what you said about the high risk, the high reward,
Hmm.
a lot of times when there's volatility, high risk can put you out of business, or high reward can put that thing out of business. And
Yes.
we're running on that rice paper right now. The whole world is running on that rice paper. So having that due diligence and learning to bootstrap, that is part of, I think, 2023, which is not allowing yourself to be sold to at a rapid pace. Somebody's
Hmm.
emergency is not your emergency.
No.
Your emergency is a methodology, and the methodology is always due diligence.
Yes.
And are you even, I made this mistake, Monique, I want to tell you about it. Back in the early 2000s, what was all the rage was to buy houses and put renters in them. So
Yes.
it wasn't, Airbnb wasn't around. So you put renters in them, and the
Hmm.
renters were supposed to make the payment, sometimes with a little bit of extra in there, etc. And so I was 6 houses deep before I was like, I don't even like this business. I hear calls all the time, come and fix and do and this and that and the
Hmm.
other, and it's kind of expensive.
Right.
And I'd be a little panicked when somebody moved out. I was like, okay, where's the next renter? And I was like, this is not fun. And so I remember it's like when you start looking at the pitch was it's passive income.
Yes.
And it's, you're going to have renters do this, that, and the other. And I was like, when renters moved out, getting that cleanup crew, I can tell you a lot of times people don't get their deposits back. And some people don't want to. They're like, we're moving. You'll take care of it. It's all good. Keep the
Right.
money.
Hmm.
Because by the time they leave, the cost of cleanup has gone up for them. And they can
Hmm.
either pay that cost or rely on this piece of money that you agreed on to have that done. And so I sold all of that because I didn't want
Hmm.
anything to do with it. But I learned I'm not big on real estate. I That's just not my gig. But on your end, your real estate acumen is over the top. I mean, you know everything about investing in real estate and uh, out of country and different venues where you're a global real estate investor, and you like it, I think. Is that true?
It's true. I love it.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
that's that's kind of the difference. I'm okay at not liking real estate, and she's okay at liking it. You know,
And you know, the other thing is when you do like something, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't not come with bumps and bruises. It came with a lot of lessons. It wasn't just that I, you know, found a golden egg and everything was honky dory from then on. No, I lost some things. I lost some money. I ran into some of the wrong people. When you're not
Hmm.
able to view your property on site, a lot of different things. But because I love it, I still do it, and I've learned a lot that I can share with people and say, hey, if you don't have an entrance and an exit strategy, don't do
Yeah.
it. If you don't know, hey, if this deal doesn't work out, how am I going to get my money back? Don't do it. And
Yeah.
the wealth rule that we first talked about is number 9, and it's the strongest cage is the one you built inside yourself. Because a lot of times we'll say, well, everybody else is doing it. I have the degree. Why not? I'm doing well. And you don't even realize that you're only doing as well as everybody else. And if everybody
Yeah.
else stops doing well, so do you.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
any control over it.
Yeah. That's such that to me is like one of the most important things we don't take a look at right now. Now, if you got real estate in the 90s or the 80s and it's just doing you're really in a good place, mortgage is down, tiny little interest rate and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, and you're that some most of the houses are paid off and you have renters in them and you like it, that's really good. But I like other things. I really enjoy cryptocurrency because it was interesting from day one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting to see where it's going. But in the interim, when we take a look at Rule 23, that's how they sell what is called shit coins and they're crap
Yes.
coins. And what
Yes.
happens is they use the same thing. You have to understand the due diligence. Is this a real world asset? Is it going to be implementable? Are companies using it? Are businesses using it? What is its purpose in the world? And once you get down to the point where your due diligence is that, like, you know, you can buy, it can go up and it can come back down, it's going back up. But more and more and more, the infusion of this digital world
Yes.
is going to be very, very profitable for people. And that profitability margin is a good long-term investment and or short-term investment. Why? Because when you have the crypto, you have control of when you sell it. Are you going to pay taxes? Now, yes. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I didn't have to pay taxes and they wouldn't even consider it something.
Right.
But you have control of that asset. And can you earn interest off it? Yeah, somewhere 3, 4, 5%, depending on what it is. While you're holding it, go ahead.
Let me tell you, I bought crypto like Bitcoin, candy, like when it was like, let's say $1, and then it just boop, zero
Yeah.
point zero zero 0.001 cent. Like we're buying stuff, no discernment, just out here. And I'm glad that you love it. I was buying it, because of my family member, and I was like,
Yeah.
but to know and understand. As soon as I was like, oh, Bitcoin is going up, and so something else would come out, and I'd get that and get that, and as soon as everybody would, I guess, sell it, by the time I got into it,
Yeah, you can goose egg if you're not doing your due diligence. And that's the point. When you
right,
understand what due diligence is, you can look at the questions, ask the right questions,
yeah,
and your discernment of that is how you steward your wealth. And stewarding your wealth is a skill set most people haven't learned. What they've learned to do is outsource their wealth, which is the 401ks, the IRAs, the mutual funds. All of those things are all having other people steward your wealth who know more than you do. Well,
mm-hmm,
that is because nobody's teaching you. So we learn math and we learn science and we learn English and we learn grammar. We learn how to write, we learn how to read, but they're like, oh no, your financial stuff, no, it's too hard for you. So I remember when I was in college trying to figure out what I was going to take, I took accounting and finance because I was tired of it being too hard for me. And what I have found is they just choose not to teach it. Full
Right.
stop. That's it. Because if you take a look at your teenagers right now, they have apps and things at their fingertips
Yes.
that we never had. And they are generating money into the 6 and 7 figures in their late
Yes.
teens and early 20s.
Yes.
So they have found how to use some of this and their discernment. They have found how to make passive income. They have a hi, welcome to my YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1 million, I have half a million, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people on board, and I get advertising money every single month. They understand how to steward their own wealth
Yes.
because they understand that this system broke their parents, broke their parents, absolutely was a burden on their back. And they understand that they don't want the streets to be paved with debt. They want the streets to be paved with sovereign wealth.
Yes.
And that's what we're moving into. We're going to let go of this debt system because we can't, it's not sustainable.
No.
And the sovereign wealth system is what is going to be built into our world, our society right now. That's where we're headed. And if you don't understand sovereign wealth, when this dies, so does your money.
Yes. What I like that you said is that teenagers can now understand it. My children don't have any problem comprehending anything online.
Yeah.
And now they have it where you can get everything from YouTube. You can learn whatever you want to learn. You can learn how to change an engine, a car engine on
Yeah.
YouTube if you want to
Yeah.
figure it out. It's not that we're not capable or that we're unintelligent or not smart. We are capable. They just choose not to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to teach a child, if you want to teach a child how to read, you take the time to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to count, multiplication, I mean, all the way up to, if my children can do AP calculus and AP calculus A, B, and BC and write
Well,
proofs, they can manage an account.
I know they can learn how to steward their own wealth. And you
Yeah.
know what's interesting? That's the way the world is going. We are going to, this over here is for the boomers. We're all about this. This is for older people.
Mhm.
Younger people are like, I own the business. I own the apartment complex. I own the structure of my wealth. Not only do I own it, I take care of it. I oversee it. I own the audience I built. I own the
Yeah.
email
They
list
own
I
it.
have. I
Mhm.
own the book I wrote. I have the intellectual property. I have the royalties coming in. They understand wealth. It's almost like, it's like once you see where wealth is going to, the more you want to learn it.
Yes.
So, young people, and when I say young people, I'm going to say 50 and below. It's getting to the point where even if you're 65 and 70, you can rebound if you have bootstrap skills of learning the stewardship
Hmm.
versus just being sold something quickly. Learning to steward that wealth, you can recover and stabilize all
Yes.
the uncertainty and the economic turmoil and downturn. You can recover from an illness. You can recover once you understand the stewarding skills. And nobody wants to teach it, nobody wants to share it. Nobody wants anybody to know about what those things are. We are going to continue to share it because I am so tired, especially of the people who are selling to women that you're
Mhm.
selling them market investments as the way forward.
Yes.
You lie to them. You just want to control their money and that's what you want to do. So I think that the process of having the cage is now in 23 we learn to begin to dismantle the cage and allow ourselves to learn how to steward something else that's different. What is the next rule that we have inside of that?
Next rule is number 20. It is wealth rule number 20. An anxious person will accept the worst terms.
Yeah, this is something that's really important because that's how they get you to stay in the cage
Yes.
when you become anxious. So here's the game. The game is when you're younger, they tell you that in order to purchase anything you want, you need a good
Credit score.
credit score. That's right. It's the credit score. So now, when you need a good credit score, your eyes are focused over here, keeping the good credit score up so that when you want to buy something on credit, you qualify. But here's the secret: nobody gives a crap what your credit score is, including the credit score people. And the 2008 market debacle, where we all were just flipped up, our houses' values
Yeah.
went down, and
Mhm.
many people lost their house. It was the subprime
Mhm.
mortgage debacle. Subprime, meaning people who didn't even qualify to own a house, were giving loans faster than people could write them. So your credit score didn't count then. Why does it count now? Why? If it didn't count then, they even gave away what I love this. It was called a ninja loan. It was like
Yes.
no income
No,
job
yeah.
or address or
Yeah. Yeah.
something.
Assets. No job, no
Assets.
assets, and no income.
That's right. And they still gave you a loan. So why did they do that? Because it made them money. And that's the real truth right now. They want to make money off your money. So what happened was they sold all these mortgages without even asking if you're qualified. So it's going on even now. They'll
Yeah.
still sell arms and everything else. It's there's not a solution to this. But my point in telling you is they get you focused there. So what are they selling you? Debt. You're
Mhm.
involved in debt. And somehow we think we can, you know, go through life with a good credit score, and that's what's going to make you wealthy.
No.
That's not what's going to make you wealthy. It's going to give you more debt. And the reverse of that reverse that we have to look at is, well, it didn't matter in 2008. Why does your credit score matter? Why? So they can charge you more, right?
Absolutely. And not only that, but your credit score is there for you to borrow, not for you to
Mhm.
lend. So you
That's
have to
right.
borrow and go into debt because of your credit score. They only use it to give you credit. They don't use it to give you more money, to give you a better investment. They give it to you so that you can ask for money from them. It's like, when you go to your job and then you go to the dealership and you say, hey, I want to buy a car. Well, you get the car, then you go back to work so that you can pay for the job. I mean, pay for the car. And then if something else comes up, you want to get it, like your house. Now you want to buy a house. And so you go back to the bank so that you can get another loan to pay for your house. They're going to save the house regardless. They know that they're making way too much money. At one point, they were giving cars away. They know that they have made too many cars. They know that they have houses that they need to sell. These builders want their money back. They know that they're going to make money off of you regardless. That's why they're still making money that same way. That's why their arms are still there. That's why people are still doing what they were doing. But if you were able to get a home in
Yeah.
2008, 2006, 7, why not now? Why why we can't? Why do you have to have your credit score be perfect?
Yeah. Yeah. And now just imagine you have a perfect credit score, but you just lost your job and you've been looking and you are literally can't find a job. There's so much competition for them right now, but you have
Mhm.
a really good credit score. How do these two things support this time in your life? So, the thing we're trying to get to on the early conversation is the world is changing. And
Yes.
just like the internet came on and changed the world, AI came on and is changing the world, but it's changing finance. It is uncovering the bad decisions and bad games that everybody plays with you to get your wealth into their control, not your control. And what's happening right now is the stewardship of wealth is all about it's the future. If you
Hmm.
don't steward your wealth, then you're relying on a system you've relied on. You've relied on an employer to make
Yes.
sure that you trade time for money. And that employer tells you everything. It tells you where you're going to live. It tells you what you're
Hmm.
going to eat. It tells you what school your kids are going to go to. It tells you everything about the quality of life you're going to have instead of you stewarding the quality of life that you actually want. Now, I want to be really clear with you. The amount of life that you actually want, you have to think about, and they sell it to you all the time,
Yes.
all the time. So digital nomads, they don't really own anything, but what they enjoy is to travel around the country, have experiences and things that they
Hmm.
enjoy, and to meet new people, learn new languages, work online. But they're not into gathering a bunch of assets that they have to steward over, like I did with 6 homes I didn't like,
Hmm.
and I had to sell everything and just learn from a bad lesson. They're just like, you know what? They know that they have their investments in place, and their investments are all based on them controlling the outcome, which is why young people love cryptocurrency
Yes.
and old people like ETFs. And our young people are like, why would I give the power away by getting an ETF when I could have control of my money here by myself? And they look at us and think, how stupid are we that you give control and power away? Stewardship of wealth is what is coming next. And
Yes.
our kids understand it so much better than we do. And so then maybe you want to own, like, hi, I have, $1 billion. So I have a 120-meter yacht and two multi-million-dollar homes, or I own an island. Maybe that's your gig. But kids nowadays, when they're becoming millionaires at very young ages, they're not investing in the markets. They're investing in ways that are completely stewarding over the wealth.
Yes.
And if we have, and they can make money fast. They're all
Hmm.
about quick income. So for me, as I move forward and I'm looking at what wealth is, there is a point where your credit score doesn't matter to a nomad. They don't care what their credit score is. And here's the thing, when you go to the bank, do they put the loan based on having and holding control of your credit score or having and controlling your assets? That's right. A bank lends money not because you have a credit score. They lend money because they have an asset that they can attach it to. So we have to kind of wake up, and we are really about improving. It's not just improving the money system,
Yes.
it's improving what we do with our wealth.
And right now, and of course, Cisco, the email went viral, but that has been happening with more and more jobs. So if you start thinking about the people that are getting laid off, great credit score, they had great credit scores. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They have, 6-figure jobs. They're concerned about it. But at the same time, none are being laid off.
Yeah.
Now where they're going to be able to buy. And if they miss one payment, there goes that perfect credit score.
Yeah. That debt to income ratio is, that's the old system.
Right.
It's like Now they're like, oh gosh, I got laid off a little bit. Okay, I'll take some of my Bitcoin and move it into my account and manage it myself, etc. They're learning the power of owning versus lending. And we have a tendency to lend our money to
Hmm.
people who now don't, who own our money now. And kids are going, there is no way I am lending my money and suddenly I don't have access to it. I'm going to own my assets, and they're very into taking the asset. What kids are learning that boomers didn't is the difference between land ownership and home ownership.
Yes.
And kids right now are like, I want land. I want land with rights on it. I need land with
Hmm.
water rights. I need land where I can build and put my fruit tree or garden in without
Yes.
asking an HOA. HOAs are definitely with older people in them, because that's the system they believed in. And our kids are dismantling and utilizing different things in a way where our older people are just like, no, this system is up. It's familiar. I know it. I own it. I control it. And you don't control it. And our
That's
kids are
another
like,
cage that we
look
put
at that.
ourselves in.
Say that is another cage. We're like, the old way is best or something. We get stuck in our own patterns.
But that's how Blockbuster lost to Netflix.
Say more about that.
Blockbuster didn't want to evolve. They didn't want to change. They didn't want to see what the future was going to be. Netflix saw it. Okay, we had the World Wide Web. We're going digital. We're going to be able to have some,
Yeah.
tangible DVDs, but we're going to be able to let you watch some things online. And when Blockbuster couldn't see the future, couldn't see another point of view, like even with wealth, you get your mind trained. You want to keep doing what you've been doing. Hey, it's been working, but has it really been working? Are you
Yeah.
really in a good state? Like when my children are saying, hey, I need land that's producing. I need my land to perk. I need my land to be able to hold a garden and now to hold a farm. What were we
Yeah.
thinking back then with the ETFs? Or even with the stock market now, my mind is blown how long I entertained that.
Me too. Me too. I feel so stupid sometimes when I'm talking to somebody younger and they're asking, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't say there was nothing else or I didn't know any better." It
Right.
was like when they get there and they just see things differently. And
Yes.
they're like, "There is no way I'm investing. I'm investing only if I steward it, you know?"
Mhm.
And I want to clear the confusion. Stewarding wealth does not mean more work.
No.
It Stewarding wealth is understanding wealth, and I don't believe there's anything that's truly passive income. I think there is income that needs less work. Like when I write books, I have 48 books. When I write a book, it goes to Amazon. Amazon does the work for me and then flips me a check every month. It just automatically gets dumped into my account for me. All I have to do is write the book. So I steward my KDP publishing thing. This is my where my books are, and I steward the copyright of those books. But the income on the back end happens. So it's kind of like there's work that's really hard and arduous, and work that's medium, and then there's work that's, less. And I think there's a way that you have to have it. So I think I work hard at my businesses and my lead generation and talking to people. But when you write a book, you're talking to people in a different way.
Right.
It's a different type of income. And over a period of time, the income lasts a long time. I have books that are hard to find now that people still buy.
Hmm.
And I have books that are, I don't know what book is going to sell that month. Like if you have 48 books, you don't know if you're selling 5 of this book, 10 of this book, 2 of that book, 20 of this book. You
Right.
don't know. Just they're going to sell. And so I think that passive income is being steered differently from our young people. And what I want to say about our young people in their smart, intelligent way is they want the stewardship over their wealth to match the quality of life they want to experience. And
Yeah.
here's the difference between them and us: they understand that they can change their experience. Like,
Hmm.
a digital nomad may be a digital nomad for a long time and then decide they want to have a farm. And so they want to have a farm and a family and the experience of that. And they experience this, but now they can say, I like to live in this place. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to build. I have a example in my mind on YouTube. There is a couple that I have been watching for years.
Hmm.
They're a sailing couple, and their original boat was called La Vagabond, and they have sailed around the world like several times. They've been to every place several times. They even had children when they got married and they were living on the boat. They had two children, and they're beautiful kids. And the kids grew up on the sailboat first. They visited land. They didn't live on land. They lived on the sailboat on the water and visited land. And suddenly, just recently, they have said, okay, sailing. We're going to stop sailing. And it's like been a decade that they've sailed around the world and enjoyed that lifestyle. And now they're saying, no, I want to raise my family. So they looked for land on an island that they loved, that
Hmm.
benefited them. They bought a chunk of land, and now they're in the homestead part of the journey.
Okay.
And I've seen nomads that have been van life or RVers that
Hmm.
are young people, and
Right.
they have built their YouTube channel in their van life. And what they did was they bought a dilapidated kind of property and then they built it up. They showed everybody the movies, everything about how they built it up, and then they flipped it for profit. And
Hmm.
then they bought another project, a bigger project, more land with room to be on. And that's kind of how our children are looking at life. We're not stuck to one idea.
Hmm.
Where in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, what did you do? You got married, you bought a home, you
Yeah.
started your family, and you were stationary in one lifestyle, one spot, with one experience. And then you experienced empty nest syndrome.
Yes.
And now the raising of the family is different based on our kids looking at life from their perspective, and they are taking advantage of access. Like you said, everything on YouTube, everything you can get on YouTube, and you can learn anything. And our children are challenging how we learn. They're constantly learning. Most of us in our age don't read a book after we graduate from college.
No.
I know it's not you and me. We love to read, but
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people that don't like to read. And now the enjoyment of a podcast where they have experts at your fingertips that you
Hmm.
can listen to every week. All that is real wealth that is happening now. We don't even see it as wealth. We don't see that access as a type of wealth. So here we are sharing and sharing and sharing, and people are listening. Most baby boomers are listening. Those that are younger people, 50 below, they're making notes and everything else. It's theirs, and they're not paying thousands of dollars to a university to learn it.
I want to share this with our audience. One thing that, one mistake that I made, and all the kids, all the teenagers now are looking at their parents going through it right now, saying, "Ooh, we're not going to do that." With the fire movement, right? Financially independent,
Oh,
we're going
yeah.
to retire early. They see us now saying, "Oh, well, that didn't work."
Yeah.
And rule number 20, what is it? An anxious person will accept the worst terms. When you're nervous about retirement, with the retirement plan, when you saw what your parents did and how Social Security is being diminished, how you can't do what they did, so you start getting anxious and nervous, and now you're starting to move without thinking. And now they're just going, they know there's a lot of people, there's a community out here who have the income, who are nervous and anxious about retirement, that they can sell this ideology to. And it didn't work. And
Mm-hmm.
just knowing the economic state that we're in and globally what's going on at the Strait of Hormuz is making them say, you know what, that didn't work either. You didn't want to do what your parents did, but what you're doing isn't working. And even, you know, how we always talk about this, but even how if you're an anxious home buyer and you want to live in you know, you want to be in an HOA, you will accept the worst terms.
Yeah.
My children are like, there is no way we would be able to live in an HOA. Knowing now that we can't grow our own garden, we can't grow our own food, we can't do whatever we want to with our own land. They knew in certain aspects, because you can't paint your mailbox. Even at
Yeah.
Christmas, you can't decorate it. Can't decorate it anytime, actually. So they already knew there are certain rules. I mean, if you drive to the neighborhood, everything looks cookie cutter. It just
Yeah.
looks the exact same.
Yeah.
So they knew. But then when we wanted to do something and we couldn't, that's what it said to them, you know what, you have accepted the worst terms possible because you can't do anything with the land. Well, we really just own the house, really own the land. So now they, of course, see the process of land ownership, what that's looking like, the evolution of it, and how they can actually get it done. And now they know what works and what doesn't. And then
That's so
they know.
important. That's so important what you said is because it's like we take worse terms because we have the it's not even FOMO, it's fear-based selling. That's what our generation came into. We had fear-based selling, and one of the most important things that you can have is like come to the table with the ability to walk away from it.
Mhm.
But when you're fear-based, you're like, gosh, I hope we get the house. You're like, I put the offer in. I put the offer in the house, God. And you're praying every night, dear Lord, please let that offer be taken. Please bless us with this new home. And
Right.
everybody's like, yes. And you're supposed to level up in our generation,
Mhm.
level up to here's your starter home. And then here's our made it home. We really made it. And then, then there's my investment real estate. And
Yes.
then we downsize when we get to a certain retirement age.
Mhm.
But this is the game that we've been sold. But you're right. We have lost the rights. And you have to think about this because ever since I've talked to you, I've often thought about this. If you're in an HOA, the pitch is, well, you don't want that weird farmer with junk in his yard and everything else lowering the value of your home. It's supposed to maintain your value of your home when you live in an HOA.
Right.
And I kept thinking, well, that's interesting. If you live in an HOA and let's say everybody has this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful home. And I was thinking about, like Florida in Palm Beach County. There are all these HOAs where the homes are really beautiful and they back up onto golf courses. And
Right.
yet, when 2008 happened, the value of the homes in those areas dropped like a lead ball.
Mhm.
It's like it dropped. There's some outer things. And so now I'm like, what about climate change? And what about insurance? I have an HOA, but if it's a new build or property taxes or everything is maybe an HOA isn't the thing I want to have. So what you want to have is options. And
Mhm.
when you start thinking about options, maybe an HOA isn't the option that gives you stewardship over the options you have with your land. Now, I see that kids, younger kids, and don't you ask yourself why? It's like you sit down with your teenagers or your young adults in their 20 and they're just asking you questions like, well, why did you do this? This was really stupid. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, that was really stupid. And then right away, your teenager, the last thing you want them to think is that they're smarter than you, because then it's all over.
Right.
But, they have opportunities and learning skills and everything else that they have at their fingertips. And what they notice, bless their little hearts, is all the mistakes we made. Now,
Mhm.
I know that we made some good things
The
in the world.
choices, yes.
But the choices that we have going forward from now on wealth, is more control, more stewardship, and more transparency.
Yes.
So right now we have AI. You can put that contract loaded up into AI and say, give me all the points. You can't be scammed unless you want to. And
Right.
so, what?
No, so that's right.
Yeah, and so the thing is, when you start feeling that dread in yourself, that's an old habit. That old habit that we have, that if they're anxious, and trust me, this is how prepper stuff sells.
Mhm.
If this happens, if it's that, or remember back in World War II, and we could have those things, and there are ways to prepare for it. But now the FOMO is literally a marketing tool. That fear of missing out, or
Yes.
that fear that it may not go. And when they do say yes, you're like, oh, it's a miracle. I manifested that. The Lord bless me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, they just wanted to close the deal and they're going to figure it out whether you have a credit score or not. The question is, do you have money? Do you have assets? So the president of the United States, when he was just Trump, real estate baron, at one point was $900 million, almost $1 billion in debt. 900. You think they would have stopped lending him money, but he had apartment buildings to attach to it,
Mhm.
which is why he had 900 million in debt. Now he had to turn it around, of course, and do
Mhm.
everything else with that. But my point is, it's always the gathering of true, real assets that are under your authority. The assets under your authority that are your wealth. Now, if it doesn't have authority and that red flag goes up and you're in that room and everybody's signing up and you get that feeling in your chest like you're going to miss out or you're scared or whatever, the terms in that room, they already have it set up because they know how to make you feel anxious.
Yes.
You're going to think you're signing something awesome when you're not signing something awesome.
And not
So
only.
I want to ask you,
Mhm.
I want to hear the not only that, but after that, could you answer a couple of questions about what you do to calm yourself down in those high urgency, oh, it looks really good? What are some of the tactics that you use to grab your discernment and bring it back into the room?
The
And
first,
I want to hear the not only that. Don't forget the not only that.
the first thing is I don't go by myself. You know how in the Bible
Mm.
they say you send them out two by two, one to watch and one to pray. So I can get excited, especially if it's real estate,
Yeah.
and I'm all in, and I'm hearing it because they're not ignorant. They know about real estate. They know how to make a deal sound good. But I always have somebody skeptical with me that can read the room, that can listen when I'm not listening, and say, "Did you hear what they said about that? No, no. What did they say? What did they say?" That's the first thing. I have to have somebody with me because I already know I'm a shopaholic, or I was. So I don't mind buying things. And the second thing is I will have questions that I want to ask, and I will write them down before I go, and I will have a dollar amount that I will not go over. So the first thing is if they say, hypothetically speaking, if they say 30,000 and I came in, I had already written down 20,000, that deal wasn't for me. I'm not
Yeah.
going to overextend in an investment. I may have 5 different deals going on right now. I can't overextend in this area because they made it sound good, and now this other deal is off. I can't be off balanced financially.
Yeah.
So I know to come in there with the right questions, with my dollar amount, with the right person, and then I always agree. This is what, and I'm going to go back to what you were talking about around children, and how children will say, "Well, why did you do that?" Now I have critical thinkers,
Yes, you do. You do. You have a pile of geniuses.
and they will say, "Well, why did you do that?" And I will say, "Well, what would you have done?" I always throw it back in their corner. I did it because my mind took me here. What would you have done? Would you have come to the same conclusion at the same time, or what would you have been? What would you have thought differently? Because how are you going to ask me about why I did that if you can't tell me what you would have done differently? So in
Yeah.
the back of my mind, my babies are always in my head saying, "Why did you do that?" And if they ask me, I need to have an explanation. I need to
Yeah.
be able to say because this deal was tight. The numbers worked. It made sense. I wasn't emotional. I need to be able to say all those things,
Yeah.
and I already have them in my ear. Because if they ask me, I need to have an answer.
That's a beautiful thing right there, because I think that the the way kids see everything right now, their perception, I'm telling you, it's like a 180 from what we learned.
Hmm.
We learned to be obedient.
Yeah.
They learned due diligence at a very young age.
Hmm.
They got access to information at an age where they get on YouTube and they're watching these younger people make money, and they're working AI. And what happens with AI is the questions you ask it are determine how good the answer is. And if you're answering generic, which is what we learned to do, how come, why, whatever, that's not good enough for them to get the answers they want. So they drill down and they're asking deeper, more aware questions like, why did you guys screw up the earth? Why did you guys dump all this oil? Why did you guys pollute this? Why did you strip all this? Why?
Right.
So, and we have to answer to that. I mean, it's answer to that.
It's
And
valid.
I
It's a
can
valid
see
question.
them. Yeah. So what's interesting about that is, now let's flip it. Let's see the opportunity. So we're at war right now. Gas prices are going up. Food costs are going up. We know that if there's an opportunity out there, the price of real estate going up, people are more homeless, et cetera, et cetera. The opportunity. Well, we're having problems with food. So, what would happen to our commodities markets? Well, I think they're going to see a super cycle, and they're going to see that super cycle because commodities. What did they say? I think it was Doak that said that farmers right now are just talking to everybody because they have enough fertilizer to grow food for 2 billion people when there are 8 billion people on the planet. So that means the commodity markets are going to be watched. And I
Hmm.
would see that there were early investors who could really gain from that. And that's cool.
Hmm.
But if I were investing, I'd want to make sure that I was the source as much as I could be the source. So it's in the United States, our farms are very one product. You grow potatoes
Yeah.
and you grow 1,000 acres of potatoes.
Hmm.
You grow corn and you grow 1,000 acres worth of corn. But back in the day, when our grandparents grew food, they grew a food forest, and it had fruit trees and bushes and annuals and perennials, and it was an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that ecosystem, I think right now, if you're a farmer, that ecosystem is going to become a local farm. So there are local farms that are growing, and the USDA is helping them, sometimes even
Mhm.
funding their food tunnels right now with people who grow several crops. And the people who are popping in my head right now that I think do a great job of that is on YouTube. It's the Wardenberg Farm. And they're in, I think it's called Mechanicsville in Pennsylvania or
Yeah.
something.
Mhm.
And they have a wind tunnel and they grow all kinds of everything. And they have a farm stand. And I think the farm stand is going to come back because I
Mhm.
think it's the local farms and those people that grow farms that do microgreens. I think they're brilliant as well because microgreens are medicine as well as vegetables. And so, going forward, having access means the access is going to be local. Now, if you're looking at the future and you're like, what are the oranges going to be? What are the sugar going to be? Any of the coffee commodities. Look how much coffee has gone up.
Yeah.
That in itself has gone up. Now, with how I buy coffee, I enjoy a certain brand of coffee. It's from Mexico and it's organic. It's made really specifically. It's got the best flavor. It is absolutely the best coffee I've ever had. And I've watched it. It's coming up now to $40 for a 2 pound bag of it. And right now I buy it as a luxury because,
Mhm.
well, I can. And I'm thinking, what happens when they can't ship it? Because the cost of coffee it doesn't make sense for them to ship it anywhere at the cost of fuel, at the
Mhm.
cost of oil. What happens then? And then I think, well, is there a local roaster or brewer around your area? Because they have those little local roasting places,
Mhm.
perhaps there, or I moved to Puerto Rico and have Puerto Rican coffee forever. But there are some things that are going to shift. And the opportunities kids are seeing right now,
Mhm.
they are all into buying home and building homesteads. They're
Yes.
like, I go
Yes.
by that, building that homestead, building that farm, building that community agriculture is a huge deal. And, families are going to community gardens and whipping up, community food and sharing it with them. This whole movement is moving away from the what I would call baby boomer mentality of this
Mhm.
is the baby boomer system and it's dying. Stewarding wealth is the system that is moving forward. And if you don't understand what wealth is, the difference between being a homeowner and a landowner,
Mhm.
if it's like right now, I think, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of guessing. I think this is the first time I think since the pandemic, this is stores, grocery stores,
Yes.
still running out of things. And I'm certain the big grocery stores will have more money to buy and they'll be serving rich people like Wegmans or Whole Foods or something like that.
I think the problem is going to be with transportation. You're
I do
looking at
too.
fresh fruit, and if you're looking at fresh fruit that they have to put on a truck, because like we're talking about, you're known as the potato farm,
Yeah.
wheat, cotton, whatever. And if you got to transport it a couple of days,
Yeah.
how long it's going to take, and for them to get enough to even put on a truck, you're not going to want to put just a little bit on the truck. You're going to want to
Yeah.
have enough for a bunch of stores, the big chain stores.
Yeah.
But is it going to how fresh is it going to be?
Hmm.
Are they going to start confiscating your food and your majority of your food on your farms because they're going to need to be able to stockpile it for the nation? Just like
Yeah.
what is happening with transportation and getting, if it's imported, if we're enjoying the coffee that's being imported, how long is that luxury going to be
Yeah.
able to be a luxury?
That's right. And it's so interesting because there was a risk specialist that was on Diary of a CEO.
Mhm.
And when he was talking, he said that if this keeps on much longer, it'll take us back to the 1930s. And I was like, whoa, that's mind blowing to think about. But as I thought about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because instead of trucks with high diesel going back and forth, it was the railways that moved stuff across the country. We put it on trains. Trains were
Mhm.
our way of having goods and services brought, but they were all country centric. Maybe Canada, maybe Mexico, but they
Mhm.
weren't like, hi, I have blueberries from Peru and
Right.
I have grapes from Chile. And look, I can buy watermelon in December because I want to have that treat at the table for Christmas. It's not like that. It may go
No.
back to actually having to let nature do its thing because we don't have the fertilizer or the things that
Mhm.
we normally use to do that. And what's going to happen is assets look like availability for fruit trees. Like if they don't have fertilizer, you're splicing your own trees locally and you're getting these trees redone at home and seeds. Seeds are going to become seeds are big assets right now.
Yes. Yes.
They are huge and we look at them. Our kids see that, but what we see is, oh my gosh, this guy over here just made a good piece of software and it's called AI now. And what it needs these big energy draining places to put all the data. So now instead of collecting seeds, we're collecting data.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the thing. Maybe the two are important. I don't have enough data from here, but
Mhm.
I do know that eventually, when transportation of food starts competing with transformation of data, I would bet my money on the solution the kids are going to bring because our brains are so
Yes.
stuck into old patterns that aren't, helpful. And what I think is also happening that I think I'm I want to let you know she did this not because something was happened because she realized I don't like this and I actually like this. And so what I want to say is we think the boomer way is if I'm excelling at wealth, I need to perform by becoming consumer driven. I need the new car, the new shoes, the new house, the new clothes every season.
Mhm.
I need to have the new watch, the new jewelry, the new anything that upscales and makes you look elite.
Mhm.
And now they have this new trend where young people are doing what was her name? Is it Al- Alicia? She did that song Beautiful, where I'm not going to sing it because, well, my voice is terrible. But kids are like, strip yourself from the makeup and the jewelry and everything else and just be you.
Mhm.
And right now, there's a really great entrepreneur right now. She's just awesome. Her name is Sabrina, and she's already built a multi-million-dollar company. And she gets on and she's like, this is me. My voice is low and raspy. I don't wear makeup at all. And I like to go hiking. I don't like to go shopping. There's this whole other woman being born.
Mhm.
And these two systems are collapsing. Women are like, hey, do you see me on my motorcycle? Do you see me hang gliding? Do you see me on my mountain
Yes.
bike? Do you see
Yes.
me in the dirt?
Mhm.
And then there's still some of the women over here going, do you see my car? Do you see my home? Do you see my. They're two different ways of being seen. And this one, our children are expressing more, and I actually quite like that. Now, I think there are days you should dress up and be beautiful and go out. Like for young people, prom. I remember my prom dress. I remember buying it. But what I remember most was that in my high school, the next day after prom, when you were at school, all the girls wore their prom dress to school so that
Mhm.
everybody could see their prom dress because you're not allowed at certain proms if you're a sophomore or a freshman. You're not going to the senior ball. So that kind of thing, I like that. And I like when it's a holiday and you dress up a little bit because you're celebrating that holiday. Like Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because all you do is say, I love you to people in feast. And Christmas, well, Christmas is why, there's the reason for the season and you dress up for that. But there are changes in perspectives, changes in wealth, and changes in stewarding those wealth. And I believe that covering those three things: one, you're in the cage.
Mhm.
Two, you don't do due diligence. And if you don't know, and if you're hyped up, if whatever it is, you're going to take the worst terms if you're strapped.
Yes.
And then this last one, I think what's important is how to control yourself
Mhm.
and it's the controlling yourself. Because I've been whipped up into a shopping frenzy. I've got to have that, got to have that, got to have that. I
Mhm.
want it so badly. You know what I mean? And then when
Especially
go ahead.
if you're looking online, or if you're talking about it, your phone now will keep bringing it up.
Yes.
So you always have it in front of you, and then the event hasn't happened yet. Let's say it's 2 months out. You're constantly being fed the idea of you already actually owning and having it, even though it's not ownership. But you're used to seeing it, thinking, "Oh wow, that'd be great if I had it, or great if I invested in that." Great, and they only give you the best scenarios of what it could be. They never tell you, "Oh, that's a trap. Don't do that." The 6 people that tried and it didn't work for them. You never hear those stories. All you hear on your or see on your phone are the testimonials of how great it is or how wonderful it is, and or a bunch of people in advertisements selling the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're feeling like, oh, everybody else is doing it, or well, I don't want to be late. So as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and invest in it instead of being anxious. We need to really slow down so we're not hurried into buying something that we actually don't want or need. I can't tell you how many times I bought something and then didn't use it, didn't need it,
Oh, God. Yeah.
or invested my money and didn't get a return on it.
Oh, gosh. It reminds me this. I'm going old school, so just deal with it. Back in the day, there was a show that I absolutely loved. It was called The Cosby Show. And in one episode, Cliff goes out to buy a brand new something. He came home with a juicer.
Mhm.
And the wife was like, "No, you can't bring these things in. Look at this cupboard down here. This cupboard is full of the thing you were going to use." And she brings out this waffle maker and she's like, "We've never had waffles." And then she brings out this new appliance. "You've never made this with this, you know, thing." And they were like buying. And she's like, "These are the home appliance drawer that
Right.
where all the good new appliances go to die because you never use them. You just buy them." And I was like, "Oh, how many times have we done that? Use that, buy something and go out and put it there. It's on display, but you don't use it at all." So that is a big thing. And then pretty soon you're like, "God, we have to have a garage sale and get rid of all this stuff, because it's not been opened, or
Back your
the
truck up to the garage and take it to Goodwill.
yeah, yeah." And you don't realize how much of your shopping is so impulsive. And that's what they push. They push your impulsivity. But what I'm going to challenge everybody to do today is to just look at how wealth is changing.
Yes.
Just look at what your kids are doing, what they're interested in, how they see money, how
Mm-hmm.
they see freedom, how they see living. And as the world has more AI and it has more flexibility and you can remotely work, you're going to find out that remote working is something that is more appealing to them. And the type
Mm-hmm.
of ownership they want isn't where somebody's telling them what to do 100% of the time with their own property, their own money, or their own lifestyle that they want. And that is, I think, the beauty of this next generation coming up. It's
Mm-hmm.
also the opportunity. And part of the wealth rules that we have showed you today is we showed you where the trap was, and we showed you what is happening at the same time, so that you can just consider something different and consider how you have control and how you don't have control, and how you have power and leverage and sovereignty, or how you don't have power, leverage, and sovereignty. And the conversations we're going to have will continue on about wealth rules, because what we want to show you is also what is unfolding as
Yes.
the world is changing and growing and becoming different. And while I see obstacles coming, because we have a lot of obstacles coming, I also see a lot of opportunity
Hmm.
for you to develop a new form of wealth mindset. But if you actually want to learn to put it together, subscribe right now to this podcast and watch, because we're going to be showing you how we do that as well. That's part of the rules is there. Before we close up, is there anything you want to share, love?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about rule number 23, about the cage that we put ourselves in, and about what's coming now. We talk about AI. AI is coming for jobs, really is coming for leverage, and how that one income, especially now, people are getting laid off because
Mhm.
of transportation, because of, I mean, products, services. Everyone's downsizing. There's no need to have a full, you know, building of 500 people when we only can produce for 300 of them. But the lifeboat business, right? That's always a way to come out of a cage, no matter which one you're in, financially, emotionally, as we talked about self esteem versus self love. The bundle of it all is the lifeboat business,
Yeah.
and how they can join and be a part of that and know that they have options. I'm all about optionality. So
Yeah.
making sure that they don't just settle. Like right now, if they make a decision to start a different kind of business, it might help them so that when they do need to pivot, they already have that.
It's already done.
Mhm.
Yeah, the lifeboat business is really important for that. I want to talk to the women too. 71% of women have market based wealth and no stewardship of their wealth. 71%. And this is dangerous. It's not, it's dangerous to have 71% of the women in the world invested in market wealth. Why aren't men investing in market wealth? What are they not doing that we're doing, and why? It's not that men don't invest now, they just invest differently. So I'd like you to spend time with that, asking your question. 71% of women are in the market. It doesn't mean it's the right decision. It's the one that's been pitched to you.
Mhm.
And perhaps there's a better way. And that's what we're going to continue sharing with you when we talk about a lifeboat business. If you're wondering what that is, you know what? I think maybe on the next
Mhm.
um, podcast, we'll talk about what a lifeboat business and how, to build it. Or if you want to learn how to do it, that's obviously somewhere else. But you want to make sure that you build something
Yeah.
that is in this market over here. This
Mhm.
market is more about digital wealth. It's not about market wealth. And digital wealth and market wealth, they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
And this you have control of, this you don't. And we'll be talking about that in the next episode of the Wealth Rules podcast. I love having these conversations because I think it's so important to
Yeah.
have well, we don't oppose anything. We're not opposing
No.
conversations,
No.
but we have two perspectives where our values meet. And then we have this nuance where we consider things. So, for instance, I don't have a house full of geniuses, although you do. And what's happening in the exchanges, we get to talk to those single moms, moms that are married, single dads, dads that are married.
Hmm.
What's happening with our children's thinking? What's happening with our old thinking?
Right.
And being able to consider everything in order to give that an opportunity. It is always fun. I love hanging out with you and having these conversations. It is
Me too.
always fun.
Always enjoy it. Always an enjoyable
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So Thursday, we're going to be talking about wealth rules and lifeboat businesses and what that is and how they can help you. So thank you for being on the Wealth Rules podcast today. Do you have anything you want to say before we close it out, my friend?
I just want to say thank you for joining us. Remember that our book, The Hidden Rules, comes out May the 26th. The rules that we've been talking about this week and last week that you can actually apply to your life and get unstuck will be available for you. So make sure that you check it out.
That's right. We'll put a sales link in there. All right. I'll see you on Thursday, everybody. Have a great week.